When you've mastered the rhythms of the rumba, you're well on your way to glamour. But all is lost if you can't find the right hairdresser. Any girl can find a good husband. But getting the right man to do your hair, that's a real problem.
In her constant battle for beauty, the American woman has the advantage of the latest weapons science has to offer and the newest methods of highly specialized practitioners. For American cosmetologists have been quick to adapt to the beautification of women theories and practices which have been evolved in other more serious branches of science. Yet if, in spite of all these weapons and all the skilled professional aid she can mobilize, woman never wholly wins her battle against the inevitable inroads of time, it is not for lack of courage in the fight. With her vanity driving her, she will never give up.
For men, the story wasn't much different. They too were interested in looking good and feeling good.
Today, less than ever before, is vanity a feminine monopoly. In the United States alone, there are 120,000 beauty shops for men, as against a mere 83,000 for women. The fact that these establishments are called barber shops instead of beauty parlors doesn't mean a thing. Hardly a man would dare walk out of one of them with just a shave or a haircut. He buys face creams, lotions, suntans, and hair restorers. He gets fussed over and pampered and flattered and catered to for the same reason women do, because it makes him feel good. $300 million a year are spent by the male population of the United States on this sort of thing. Yet they dare accuse the American woman of vanity. In the eternal battle for beauty and youth, America's men and women stand shoulder to shoulder. But the men, the poor dears, do they ever win?
All right, Mr. Van Voorhees?
Well, time marches on.
The decade of the 40s was the decade of mom's apple pie, hot dogs, and baseball. Stan Musial, Joe DiMaggio, Hank Greenberg, and Ted Williams were the heroes of the time. And Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. In football, there was no finer game than Saturday afternoon on college campuses across the country.
71,000 see some blazing football at Champaign as Illinois meets Michigan. Edelman's long punt, soaring far down the field, is caught on Michigan's 26 by Elliott, who heads for the Illini goal line, cutting along just inside without a hand laid on him, and the Wolverines, favored for the Rose Bowl, nail down the first score of the game. Illinois goes into action with Steger carrying the ball through center, cutting down the Michigan defense and sliding through to get away for 53 yards, landing on the Michigan doorstep. It takes 5 more plays, but Steger finally corkscrews over for Illinois. With the first half not yet finished, Chapius heaves one for the Wolverines. It's snapped by Elliott, who streaks away for a gain that's good for 52 yards. He winds up on the 4, but a penalty brings it back to the 9. From here, Fondy crashes over. Michigan 14, Illinois 7.
46,000 packed the Cotton Bowl in Dallas for a battle of undefeated grid giants, Southern Methodist and Texas. Page of SMU electrifies the crowd with his run back of the kickoff. The Mustangs of Southern Methodist came into this game underdogs, but they're top dogs right at the start. Page's long run puts his team deep in Longhorn territory, and it's finally Mr. Page himself who puts Texas on the Longhorns of a dilemma. 6 points worth. He skirts left end for the game's first touchdown. After Texas ties the score, the Mustangs do it again. Johnson fires a long pass, 45 yards to the Texas 20, where Walker grabs it and races all the way to the 1 before being knocked out. From here, McKissick goes deep in the heart of Texas for another Methodist score. Bobby Lane, the Texas quarterback, keeps the Longhorns stampeding with his passing arm. Blount takes this one for a nice gain in the 4th period. And Lane connects again to put Texas within inches of a tie score. His pass to Guillory is good for 6 points, but Southern Methodist wins 14-13.
Georgia Tech's Engineers and Duke's Blue Devils tangled in the rain at Atlanta before 38,000. Tech's Bowen picks up 7 yards around end just after the start of the first quarter, and from there on it's short and sweet for the Engineers. On the next play, Still passes 10 yards to Dink Bowen, who's knocked out of bounds. But it takes Tech just 6 minutes of game time to run up the only touchdown today, with Still spiraling to George Broadnax over the line. Battling a top favorite Notre Dame squad at Cleveland, a plucky Navy team runs into a series of costly fumbles after 12 minutes of tight defense. Then Irish siege gun Johnny Lujak gets loose and shoots one 29 yards to Brennan that's good for the first Notre Dame score. The fireworks are enjoyed by 84,000 who watch Navy fight courageously against the nation's top team. Lujak sees no chance of passing and takes off from his goal line on a beautiful long run, streaking down the field through the midshipmen for 78 yards, but rams into trouble and the ball is knocked from his grasp to end one of the most sensational runs of the day. Navy manages to out-fumble the Irish, and it's Notre Dame's ball when Hawkins loses the old pigskin on the sideline. Once more, Notre Dame is in scoring position, and this time it's Trapuka passing for the Irish almost into the end zone, into the nimble mitts of Leon Hart. Final, Notre Dame 27, Navy nothing.
Popular culture in the 40s introduced the bikini. And the biggest change of all? Cars. Millions of cars. Suddenly, the entire country was on the move. They wanted to see their country to take long-needed vacations of every sort. It was a whole new industry.
After 4 years of war, which made travel all but impossible, the long deserted highways of the United States are once more alive, and the most tourist-minded people in the world are again on the move. From one end of North America to the other, the tourist industry is making ready for a return of the good old days.
The St. Louisan leaving 12:55, Whiskey, track number 12. Passengers for Columbus, Dayton, Richmond, Indiana.
Deep in the American's heart is the urge to be on the move. There isn't a train he wouldn't take, no matter where it's going. That's what a poet said. And when a citizen is vacation bent, he has to remember that trains have a way of leaving on time.
St. Louis, Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville. This section has coaches, dining car, Pullman cars 330, 331.
For every American with a holiday in mind, a huge industry lies in wait, ready to transport him on a magic carpet of dollar bills, 11 billion of them last year, by air to Gay Paris, on a slow boat to Casablanca, or to float him down the river, down to New Orleans. Though the ocean cruise business fell off to nothing during the war years, today it is booming again. Vacationists have plenty of money, plenty of places to go, and plenty of worries to get rid of. Trade follows the sun, and on land as on sea, there is a concerted rush to the mañana republics of Latin America, good and hospitable neighbors. But many Americans believe that whether it's worry or money you want to get rid of, no place beats Florida. If you can stand the big touch, a yacht is the thing. For a few $1,000s, for a few weeks, you can wear dungarees and do your own mending. The rarely rugged yachtsmen actually go to sea and make the run to Nassau across the warm Gulf Stream. Nassau occupies a special place in American affections. During Prohibition, this was where the liquor came from. And after his abdication, this was where the Duke of Windsor went as governor of the Bahamas. Today, the U.S. tourist is never troubled by the sight of any undue exertion. But for all their languid enchantment, the Caribbean and the sunny South hold no thrill for the hardier breed of winter vacationist. For him, the northern states and Canada's Laurentians are tops. With thousands of slat-happy visitors to the pratfall belt, he learns the art of the stem and the Christie. The air is cold and dry. The hotel's warm and fashionable. Even a greenhorn looks good in the costume. And your troubles don't begin until you start downhill. To get their visitors to the top of the mountains down which they are expected to slide on their own, resort owners have spared no expense in ski lifts. For a modest fee, you're up. Then it's your own technique that gets you down. If you make it to the bottom of the hill, and most do, you can call yourself a skier. And when you've had enough, the lodge is waiting to cheer you with a nice cup of tea. The social life of winter resorts is cozy, for half the time is spent getting warmed up after a healthy chill. When the skating rink is not too far from the hotel, as in New York's great Catskill resorts, no guest need risk pneumonia. 3 turns around the ice give a brisk preparation for cocktail time and the social amenities of the crowded evening. The hotel's nightclubs bring to the snow-clad hills the familiar atmosphere and all the glitter of Broadway. The wisecracks of comedians, like the raconteur Red Buttons, never fail to click.
But have you watched kids lately? No kidding. Have you watched them grow up? They're soft inside. They got nothing. Kids are crazy nowadays. Everything is psychology. Kid burns down a living room. They say, don't touch him. That's initiative. And I want to tell you, grandparents, they're worse than anybody else. They spoil those kids like mad. I went to see the nephew, 4 years old, with my mother and dad last week. All day long, they stood around yelling, look at that boy. Look at that boy he's doing. Look at that boy he's doing. What do you think the boy was doing? Sawing a dog in half. But there's always a little compensation. Today we have the Freedom Train. That's the train that runs from New York to Reno. And I want to tell you, I think it's about time the kids in our country really got a good look at the documents handed down by our forefathers. I never knew anything about history or documents when I was a kid. I remember one day in class, my teacher said, Buttons, who shot Lincoln? I said, I didn't do it. She said, what kind of an answer is that? You bring your father to school tomorrow. Next day, my father came to school. And she said to my father, she said, Mr. Buttons, I asked him who shot Lincoln, and he says he didn't do it. My father said, teacher, my boy's an honest boy. If he says he didn't do it, he didn't do it. Later on that night, my father got a hold of me. He said, hey, kid, tell the truth. Did you do it?
But for most Americans, vacation time is summer. And summer means a well-earned rest. July and August, bringing the dog days to most of the United States, are the time when the hardest boss must relent. And even the biggest corporation shows its thousands of employees that it has a heart. The danger of a quiet vacation spent at home is familiar to married men, who inevitably find themselves put to work under enlightened supervision. Thus, the call of the great outdoors becomes irresistible. The chance to withdraw a little from home and civilization, and to become, for a time, almost self-sufficient. But to go camping with a few cronies, or to get away to his favorite haunt for a little trout fishing, the married man must also plan a vacation for his children. Camps for boys and girls of every age flourish, teaching them group living and how to get along without mom and pop. But many gregarious families choose to spend their summers together in busy bungalow colonies at the lake or at the seashore. The percentage of America's 21,000 miles of seacoast not given over to lawful enterprises of skill and chance, where every contestant is guaranteed a prize, is still available to provide healthy, happy holidays for young and old in surroundings conducive to exercise and early rising. Sun and air relax the adult population and teach both children and parents the joys of outdoor play together. For those who really love adventure and the rugged life, few resorts can match the Dude Ranch. Here, after a hard day in the saddle, the tenderfoot takes his fun in a setting right out of frontier days. Under the wrangler's watchful eye, dudes remount their favorite cayuse. As they leave the old corral and hit the trail again, they feel they are a part of the Old West, though still east of the Hudson. It is the huge resort hotel which is the best bet for the city dweller who is looking in the country for the same amusements he has in town, but with fresh air and sunshine added. Operating on a country club basis, but often accommodating more than 1,000 guests at a time, such resorts welcome back many of the same people year after year. Top factors in holding trade are the quality and abundance of the food served. But if meals are the management's first concern, its second is to provide a continuous whirl of recreation. But all vacations of young or old, rich or poor, have to end at last. And America once more starts moving back from the mountains, the lakes and the seashore, to the workaday world.
Fun. You must keep in touch with each other.
Don't forget.
Let's get together real soon.
Gee, it was swell.
Yes, next year, surely.
You will write, won't you?
It was fun.
Time marches on.
For the first time, as the decade ended, Americans felt the stress of modern life and developed a whole new industry to deal with it.
Master of the sky above and the earth beneath, modern man applies his utmost ingenuity and inventiveness to the pursuit of speed and comfort in search for his most deeply desired objective, happiness. He has surrounded himself with ever more complicated mechanisms to reduce mental and physical effort to a minimum. Man is ever employing his vast scientific resourcefulness for the creation of entertainment devices to provide him with constant distraction. Year by year, the number of appliances and gadgets contributing to man's convenience multiply around him. But despite all the mechanisms he has invented in his pursuit of personal happiness, man is finding existence in the modern world full of frustrations and vexations. Today, the machines man has invented to conquer his environment seem themselves to be conquering man.
Driver! Driver! I have to be at Penn Station at 3:30, and it's 20 after now.
Listen, lady, I can't pick up this cab and carry it, can I?
How dare you speak to me that way? You're the most...
In the calm of America's universities are many thinkers who, pondering the pressure of today's mechanized world, are seriously concerned with the effect of modern living upon mankind. Among them is Professor Ernest Albert Hooton of Harvard, eminent anthropologist, whose studies of the human race from the Stone Age to the present have left him totally unimpressed by recent technological advances, and none too hopeful of the prospects for happiness of the tottering biped known as man.
It took millions of years for man to evolve from a super ape into a thinking animal. But during the past 30,000 years of increasing gadgetry, man has backslid mentally and physically. Technology perfects machines that even feeble minds can operate. The unintelligent user of gadgets still retains the mentality of primitive man. He resorts for moral support to mumbo-jumbo, just as did his savage ancestors. Machines get better and better, illogical beliefs persist. Mechanized and moronic man moves toward extinction. Any questions?
Corroborating Dr. Hooton is the American press, where reports of the current trend toward mental disorders and crimes of violence testify that man is far from happy. 1 out of every 10 Americans is due for a nervous breakdown. 1 American in every 200 is now a patient in a mental hospital. The great variety of popular books on mental problems bears witness to the everyday American's troubled state of mind. Among the commonest worries of most people is the problem of how to succeed in one's job. No less urgent to the average man or woman is the problem of how to attract the opposite sex. Faced by these and other problems, troubled people have always turned to the traditional counselors, the family doctor, experienced and reliable, the school teacher, instructor of the young, the man of God who ministers to the spirit, and the elders of the family group. The addiction of Americans to food fads as a means of bolstering themselves up has enabled many a diet theorist to build his private formula into a flourishing business.
I use liver, brain, spinal cord, heart, kidney, mixed the juices of raw vegetable that fixed up gray hair, wrinkles, bad teeth, sagging chin, brittle nails. If somebody has sex problem, your worries are over.
But the currently popular health theorist has by no means crowded out the colorful medicine man, with his nostrums guaranteed to cure every ill and solve every problem.
Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and see how Dr. Mayfield's famous Vitazone remedy works. Carrying his germ-destroying properties to every corner of the human system, ridding it of impurities, Dr. Mayfield's wonderful Vitazone remedy brings a new spring to your walk, new life to your weary-jaded eyes, and a ruddy glow of health to your pale cheeks. Only $1 a bottle, my friends, for Dr. Mayfield's Vitazone, surpassing all the medical specialists and all the hospitals of the globe. Who's going to be the first to buy a wonderful bottle of Vitazone? Oh, I see a fine, intelligent young gentleman there. Oh, thank you, $1. Who's going to be the second?
With unflagging optimism, man has been buying potions and pills for centuries, forever sure that a miraculous solution of all his problems is just around the corner. Another means of self-improvement, mail-order courses in muscle building have for years enjoyed a phenomenal success. From offices which cover a whole floor in a New York skyscraper, strongman Charles Atlas operates $1 million business. From all over the world pour in the inquiries of clients young and old, all of whom are ambitious to achieve a torso like Atlas's.
Why, only the other day, a very rich man called me up and said, "Charlie, I have just lost $500,000. I'm going to blow my brains out." So I told him to forget it and get to exercising. Let me teach you how to become strong, like this.
Today, some doctors have grave reservations as to the value of exercise for everybody. Prominent among them is Dr. William H. Sheldon, noted authority on the human constitution.
For some people, physical culture is a good thing. For some others, it may be disastrous.
But despite wise counsel, millions of men and women continue to search for happiness, each in his own strange way. Ever seeking to win the admiration of others, never daunted by his previous failures, man is forever sure that next time he'll hit the jackpot. Part and parcel of every man's spirit of hope is his immemorial desire to know what the future holds in store. Upon fortune tellers and fortune-telling devices, the American public spends some $150 million a year. The fact that the same person may hear 3 or 4 contradictory versions of the future from as many practitioners seldom does anything to shake her faith in the ancient arts of soothsaying.
Now, here's your heart line. Well, you certainly get plenty of attention from the wolves, don't you?
Bad confluence is looming up next year. Do not swim in the ocean. That would be fatal. Moon and Pluto in the air sign Gemini. Your love life's not very satisfactory, is it?
Naturally, you've had bad luck with a name like Ruth Farrell. The letters don't coincide with your astral influences. Now, if you'll change your name to this one I've worked out for you, you'll be in tune with the infinite, and all your problems will vanish.
What's my new name?
Your new name is Krikora Roval.
From among primitive evidences of human irrationality, even the sardonic Professor Houghton is not completely pessimistic.
People who consult mystics, diviners, and prophets of the occult employ the same sort of subhuman reasoning as produced these masks and magical paraphernalia.
You seem to take a very dim view of humanity, Professor Houghton. Haven't you any hope for the future of man?
Certainly. But we must realize that we need not merely better machines and sounder beliefs, but wiser and healthier men. When we have learned what qualities of mind and body combine in heredity to make superior individuals, we may then produce intelligent human beings who will ultimately salvage civilization.
Bolstering up the scientists' hope, a national committee of 13, with a campaign of good-humored burlesque to expose the baselessness of humanity's fears and phobias, is trying to prove on a popular level that superstition can be eradicated. Backed by people as well known as illustrator John Vassos, the committee feels it may, in time, get mankind to substitute logic and common sense for its eternal wishful flight from reality. To educate by example, these iconoclasts publicly violate all the time-honored taboos. For with the scientists, they believe that until men learn that their future lies in themselves, not in cults or charms or mumbo-jumbo, the security and happiness men have sought down the ages will still elude them. Time marches on.
The decade of the 40s closed with the debut of Rodgers and Hammerstein's epic musical South Pacific on Broadway. The first Polaroid instant camera was sold. Mule Train by Frankie Lane was the country's #1 song.
Mule train, clippity-clopping through the wind and rain. They'll keep going till they drop.
The first VW Beetle, the people's car, was sold.
Refining this car, not necessarily to keep in style with it, but to make a better car, which means to all of you,
of all the promises made at the 1949 Auto Show, we at Volkswagen kept ours.
The Berlin Airlift, the largest peacetime airlift of supplies in the world, ended. A Democrat, Harry Truman, was president. And he led America into becoming the world's first superpower. So, if you were born in the 40s, you became the Beat Generation. And the baby boomers that would redefine America forever.